Hey, my good friend, Sam Haymart with Test Driven TV. Today we're test driving the 2024 Buick Envista, which is the new compact SUV from Buick that really falls into the affordable end of the scale. All right, my friends, let's talk about the car we've got here. This is a beautiful color of ocean blue on the 2024 Buick Envista, and this is the ST trim grade, which is the middle trim grade between the base model and the fully loaded Avenir. And as tested, this one's pricing out at $29,000 and some change. It starts out at about $24,000, and it can go up into the mid-30s if you get the fully loaded models. And so this really represents sort of a middle of the road variation of the new Envista. So what is the Envista? It's a compact crossover SUV, and it actually has a design profile that's longer and lower than the other entry-level model Buick has, which is the Encore, which tends to be a little bit more tall, a little more chunky looking. This is simply stretched out. It has a 106-inch wheelbase, which makes it almost more like a car in silhouette. Looking at the front, this has Buick's new design language that we just saw in the most recent Wildcat show car, and that goes to the very sleek and slender signature lighting that you see right there at the front, and a grille that has a fresh design for Buick, not the same old thing. And looking down into that bumper, you can see those round projector beam lights. Those are actually the headlights. What look like the eyes on this are the LED signature lighting that you see like the daytime running lights during the day. So those aren't necessarily themselves the headlights. It's those other round lamps down in the lower bumper. Coming around the corner, this has an optional 19-inch black gloss wheel on it and some nice rubber on there. The trim on this is a gloss black, which actually contrasts quite nicely with this ocean blue, I think. Mirrors, also gloss black. Trim around all of the windows, also gloss black. This one also has a sunroof on it. Not a big panoramic roof, but a standard flip up and slide open sunroof. From this angle, you can really see where the length that this car has combined with its lower height, it really does have more like a 5-door hatch Grand Tour sort of silhouette. And it really looks good in my opinion. It almost looks somewhat exotic. I've had a lot of people this week go, "What is that?" And then I say, "Oh, it's a Buick." They're like, "Really? A Buick?" And that, of course, is what Buick wants to hear. They want to hear people going, "Okay, all right, it's not that big wire wheel covered square suitcase on wheels that grandma used to drive." And they've been trying for decades to get away from that image. Design like this is one of the first ways that they can do that. And so you see LED taillights back here that are very slink and slender that wrap around, that really give this thing a nice shoulder line there at the back. New Buick logo on the back, Buick letters across the back. This is a power hatch on this one. It is an option. And as you look down into the rear bumper, you can see that the level of trim and detail here is actually quite attractive. And so stepping away, this is a car that I think that almost falls into that description of being sexy and athletic. Now to the interior. The Envista has a completely different interior design than its platform mate, the Chevrolet Trax. And that's a good thing because this is a Buick. It's supposed to be a little bit more luxurious and maybe have a little bit more style, and that's exactly what they've given it. If you look around, there's a nice mix of trims and soft stitching and just a nice to look at design that has a little bit of pizzazz, a little bit of flair. Just look at the design of the instrument panel. It's got just a little bit of a Jetsons edge to it. It's got 2 screens, an 8-inch digital screen for the instrument cluster ahead of the driver, and there's an 11-inch infotainment screen off to the side. On the center stack below, this does have climate control and hard controls for all of that. A nice little place down here for your phone on the center console. There is power ports there, and also in this particular one, a wireless charger, a conventional shift lever, which I love, cup holders off to the side, nice location. Another little spot here to store a few things, and inside here a nice deep storage well. You could actually put a rectangular tissue box in here. It would be vertical, but that's about the size of it. It's a pretty nice size. The quality materials in here is about average. What's really nice is on the door panels, you can see there are some soft stitch trims. These seats, these are very nice looking seats. They're very handsome. an ebony black vinyl. It looks like leather and it feels like leather, but it's vinyl, and some beautiful blue piping and accent stitching. I've enjoyed sitting in them this week. They're everybody's comfortable as they are good looking, but I will tell you that because this is vinyl, they are just a little bit sweaty in the heat. It's still summer here in Arizona for all intents and purposes. The rear passenger compartment is a place that actually, as you can see, is quite roomy, and that is afforded by the fact that we do have this long wheelbase, and it does feel more like I'm sitting in the back of a sedan or a regular car, a lot more so than in an SUV. It does have a fully flat floor. There's no hump in the middle, so you can spread out and really get comfortable back here if you choose. The other nice thing is that because we are in a little bit of a crossover SUV, the seating height is pretty good. We're not sitting down on the floor like in a sedan. The actual seat itself is somewhat comfortable. It's not the most, but the softness is good, and it's a place that I feel like I could be comfortable for a good long trip. If you look at the space ahead of me, you can see I've got about 4 inches of knee room before you get to these seats, which are set for my height, about 5'8", 5'9", depending on the shoes that I'm wearing. Headroom pretty good. I've got about 3 inches above my head, even with the fact that this does have a sunroof. When it comes to amenities back here on the back of the center console, there are 2 USB ports for charging devices, but we don't have AC vents back here. I do have a little bit of air blowing on me from the vents on the dash, but we start getting into the close to $30,000 range, and I want to start seeing vents on the back of these consoles. So that is missing, but we are in an affordably priced car. These seats do fold down in a 60-40 split and afford quite a good size cargo area, nearly flat load floor when they're flat. But look at the cargo area with those seats up. It's still pretty sizable back there, in spite of the fact that this has more of a 5-door hatch sort of silhouette. Underneath that floor is a mini spare, which is a good thing. We like to have those, especially in a vehicle that we might be taking out in the middle of nowhere where there is no cell service, because a fix-a-flat kit isn't going to help you if you tear a tire open. This is an interior that has a nice flair to its design that really speaks to the same design language and flair that we see on the exterior of the car. Quality materials, fit and finish, and the feature content in here I would, however, call class average. This interior gets 4 out of 5 stars. The infotainment system here is a standard 11-inch screen, and it has a number of standards that we've come to expect today. It has AM, FM, of course, satellite radio, Bluetooth connectivity. It offers Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and those are wireless. I'm using Apple CarPlay, as you may be able to see here on the screen, and that allows you to take advantage of navigation and other features that you might be piping into the system from your phone, but it does not come standard with navigation outside of using either the Android Auto or the Apple CarPlay. Audio quality is pretty good, and using the menu system and navigating around isn't too bad, although when you start digging into the menus and really looking at all of the back-end content here, you do find that it's a pretty shallow pool. There's just enough to make it okay for its price range, but they haven't given you more than you might expect. And there is a backup camera here, a single view, but it's a high-definition camera, so the image is good, and of course those lines that you can see do turn with your wheel. So I'm pretty pleased with this system overall. It could use a few more features, but it's well done as it is. It gets 4.5 out of 5 stars. All right, my friends, let's take a drive. So let's talk about first what's under the hood, because it's actually quite unique in the market today, although it is becoming a little bit more common. What's under the hood here is a 1.2 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine. It has 137 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque, which is actually about middle of the class for horsepower and torque. And best yet, it's mated to a conventional 6-speed automatic transmission, not a CVT like a lot of the competitors out there. And so what that means is we have a power level that's normal. It's not low just because it's a really small engine, and the torque level's not low. And it has a conventional driving experience with the transmission. It's shifting gears. And so when you step on the gas, it downshifts. It's got a pretty decent sound, and it actually delivers power very smoothly. And so what I'm most impressed with here is that, having driven a lot of 3-cylinders in the past, they used to always have sort of a strange sound, a strange warble. not always the smoothest engines. And so this one's got balanced shafts. There's a lot of different technology working here, like General Motors quiet tuning technology, which actually uses the audio system and plays sort of a reverse sound curve through the speakers to offset and sort of wash out some of the actual powertrain and road noise here. So it's actually very quiet in here, the engine itself. Fuel economy is rated at 28 city, 32 highway, and 30 miles per gallon combined. In my week with it, I actually got about 27, but in its defense, I have been using the air conditioner all the time. So it's been running the AC. What I would tell you is don't be scared by the fact that it's a turbocharged 3-cylinder that's only 1.2 liters. Take it for a drive, check it out, and see how it works for you. Power levels are fine. Fuel efficiency is what you'd expect, and the refinement levels aren't that bad. It gets 4 out of 5 stars. Now when it comes to chassis, this has a pretty standard everyday chassis. It shares the same platform architecture with the Chevrolet Trax, as does the powertrain. It has McPherson strut front suspension, and it has a twist beam. Front-wheel drive is all that's offered here on the Envista. Electric power steering has a nice weighting to it. And what I've really found is that this chassis just really has a nice high quality feel. It's quiet on the road, quiet on the highway, and around town going over speed bumps, manhole covers, things like that. It has a level of solidity that was actually quite surprising to me given the price point here. I've driven more expensive cars that felt less well bolted together. The one thing I would point out is that when you step up to these larger wheels, the ride does get more firm and a little bit more jarring. If you are looking for a Buick with a more traditional sort of soft-edged feel, you'll want to stick with some of the smaller diameter wheels that are available on this car. I'm pretty impressed with this chassis overall. It's a pleasure to drive. It's got a nice ride. It's quiet, and it feels maybe a step above its price. It gets 4 out of 5 stars. Well, there we go. We've had a good look at it inside and out. We've taken it for a drive, and I have to tell you, I'm pretty impressed with this little affordable car. I like the fact that it's not a big, tall, chunky looking SUV like we're almost always given when something new comes out. This looks and feels like a nice 5-door hatch car, and the styling is there, the quality is there, it's sexy, dare I say it. And for its price, this one as tested is right in the middle of the price range between $24,000 and up into the mid-30s at $29,000 with options. Let's talk about value. Is it worth the money? Is it competitive? Well, there are a lot of competitors here. Let's face it. This is the one area of the car market you're going to have almost limitless choices to look at. Some of them cost more, some of them have better warranty, some of them have more power, some of them have a lot more stuff. But this, I think, represents a nice packaging of styling, quality. It has a level of features on it for a price tag that's pretty attractive. So when I look at things like what you get for the money and all of the things we talked about, I also sort of balance it with warranty coverage. We're at $336 bumper to bumper. We are at $560 for powertrain. Hyundai and Kia offer a lot more than that. They are the standout. So warranty coverage is sort of class average here. But when I put everything together, I look at value and I put a score on it. It's 4.5 stars. When you put that in with everything we've already talked about, we're at 4.2 stars for the review. I think a pretty attractive choice in the affordable small car / SUV segment. It's something fresh, definitely worth a look. So there you go, the 2024 Buick Envista. Now, if you like what we do, you can see our latest video right there. Better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel right down there. Either way, stay tuned.